The reason your horse don't like the bit is because he doesn't know what to do with it, okay? So bitting horses is a long, patient process, okay? And if you're doing the right things, you can get that horse to accept that bit. Like when we first start putting the bridle on the horse, we start all of our young horses in a loping hackamore. And it's just a real soft rope noseband with a pair of reins on it and a headstone. Now, this device that I have on this horse is a traditional hackamore. That is a bosal, which is a rawhide noseband with a hanger on it, a headstall on it. And then it has hair reins, which we call macates, okay? Some people out west call them McCartys, okay? But what we're going to do with this process is I'm going to ask this horse to turn left. So I want his nose to come. So I'm going to help him with that hair rein. And I'm going to ask for that nose to come over there. And I'm not putting any pressure on the outside of him to get him to turn. I want him to follow his nose and go over there. Now, if I want him to go faster over there, I don't pull on my hands more. I use my leg to drive him over there. My leg comes and drives him over there. And what we're trying to do all the time is we're trying to build desire in these horses. So if I've got him aimed, if you will, to the right, I'm using my hair rein. Now I'm going to lay my neck rein on him, but I'm going to use my left leg to cause him to want to go over there. Well, now the reason he wants to go over there is because my leg over here is putting pressure over here, and he's wanting to go away from that pressure. If everybody understands that, okay? Now, where people get in trouble, now, I hope I don't regress my horse too much, but I'm going to do this just for the sake of demonstration. And this is what most people do. I call it dragging their feet around with your hands, okay? Most people, when they want to turn left, they just go with their hand. They don't do anything with their body or their legs to set that horse up for that turn and let him know where we're going. So what they end up doing is they just grab a hold of them bridle rein and they pull on it. Well, what old Yella ends up doing is he goes, oh, that hurts my mouth, I don't like that. And he gets up here and he gets real bracy through his hole and through his whole body, actually. And he gets stiff, okay? If you go back to these basics and work at it just a little piece at a time, you can get them so that they're very, very agreeable and they like the training. When you're causing them pain and discomfort and heartache and bracing up and getting hard and getting stiff, they get in a habit of being like that. And boy, it ain't no fun for them and it ain't no fun for us. If that makes any sense.
One of the things that we can notice, any piece of equipment can be used well or used very bad. And you told us earlier that this was a very gentle horse. Well, a very gentle horse normally needs a little bit more motivation. So we watched him, you were pushing him with your spur. Now, if you've got a crackhead that you call a horse at home and you push him with your spur, you may be in trouble. Just take that in consideration. You know, it's like any piece of equipment, you need to know how to use it correctly before you jump in and start doing it yourself.
Right. And you just brought up a good point, and I'd like to address that real quick. People think that you use your spurs to drive the horse. Sometimes you do, but most times you don't. What your spur is on your foot for is to reinforce your leg. What I want this horse to do is to get off of my leg. When I lay my leg on there, tighten my calf muscle and lay it against this horse's side, I want him to get off of it. Now, if he doesn't get off of it, then I might roll that spur up his rib a little bit like that. I don't spur him and poke him with it. Well, I'll just roll that rowel up his rib cage until he thinks, oh, it would serve me better if I get over there. Okay. There was a really good article on Facebook written by, I've got a good friend who used to be my next door neighbor. Her name is Sherry Still. And she and her daughter, they do, I don't know what they do, horse therapy, I guess, which is not acupuncture. I don't know, some pressure therapy or something. I don't know. But they're very good, and the daughter is a Florida State champion barrel racer and all that kind of stuff. But this week she wrote an article about that on Facebook, and it said that she doesn't understand why when you go to the barrel racing, you know, people are running from around the barrels and between the barrels and going home, and people are spurring their horses like this, just gapping and spurring them as hard as they can spur them, and the horse is running as hard as he can. It looks to me like if you're poking me like this in my cage every jump, I'm going to run slower than I would if you were just sitting up there smooching to me and staying out of my way. But that's human nature. I don't mean to badmouth anybody. But it's once you get control of these 5 body parts, and this is all, what this all consists of is reining, training. That's the basic for all of that. If you want to make a barrel horse, it's the basic for all of that. If you want to make a rope horse, it's the basics for all of that. It's foundation training. We talk about the 5 body parts now. All of my life, when I was a kid, we talked about basic training. You know, put the basic training on the horse. But, you know, it's about getting control of those 5 body parts, getting that horse to be compliant without resistance. And, you know, when you're riding these, you know, remodeling these horses, if you will, they'll get to a place every once in a while. That horse got right there just a minute ago. He got a little stiff and didn't understand. Well, I just kind of worked him through it instead of taking my spur and spurring him. You know, get over there. You know, he don't understand that either. So
I made a comment that, and I like the word you used about remodeling your horse. There's a lot of them out there that need to be remodeled. And when we remodel a home, it looks really bad until just before it's finished. And a lot of times when we're working with these horses, it looks bad before we get finished. It may look good today, and then tomorrow it looks bad again. And it'll look good next week, and then it'll do bad again. And that is Christianity to the T. We do good, then we do bad. We do good, we do bad. And it's the same way with these horses. Normally, before you get a finished horse, they ride this roller coaster of training. And but you don't get mad and go to getting after them too much. You just accept that's what it is and keep going.
Speaking about foundation training, for those of you that watched it, some of you did, some of you didn't. I just want to comment on it. There's 4 brothers from Utah. They're Mormons, okay? But Christian background, the Wright brothers. We're all in the top 5 in the saddle bronc riding. The youngest one, who was a rookie, actually came to the first national finals and won the world championship last night. Trevor Brazil, the all-time record, setting 21, I think, world championships. When they interviewed those guys on TV, guess who they gave credit to? Tough Cooper, world champion calf roper. Guess who he gave credit to? You know, and those guys, when you sit there, and I watched all 10 rounds of it, and when you sit there and watch it, those guys go through a lot of ups and downs in 10 rounds, okay? Like, at the end of the deal last night in the saddle bronc riding, all of them were crippled. I mean, they were, I'm sure they were glad it was over there. There's a lot of adversity that comes during a 10-day rodeo that's that intense. And those guys, it seems like all the guys that are really, really good and really, really competitive have got a foundation. And the foundation is Jesus. And they give him credit. And it was very impressive to see that. Because after each go-around win, they interview them on TV. And a lot of them gave credit to the Lord for their success.
You know, we're seeing more and more of that, professionals that are given credit in every kind of sport. And that's, well, I tell you, I appreciate that a whole lot more than I do that Christian that walks around telling me what I need to change. You know, don't tell me what I need to change, model what I can follow.
Yeah, if you aspire to be a rodeo cowboy, Trevor Brazil would be a pretty darn good pattern for you to follow,
yeah.
You know. But anyway, that's all I got.
Just, if you will, real slow, show us each one of the 5 body parts again, because this is, last year I talked about it every Sunday, and this year we haven't talked about it very much, and people don't see it in action. If you can just stop and show it real quick, and then we'll do our skit. JP, are you ready?
When we first start, I'll just start from we train a horse from the front to the back. Or I do. I think everybody does. So when we first start, I'm going to start trying to get a hold of this horse's head. So what I want to do is I just want to get him so that instead of resisting me and pushing out there with his nose against that pressure, I want him to give me, and you can do this with a snaffle, or you can do it with a hackamore, but I want to get this horse so that he will start dropping his nose or his mouth off of the snaffle or off of the hackamore and just give me that little bit of a bend right there. And I don't ask for any more than that. Now, while I'm working on this, I don't care where my horse goes. I'm not trying to ride my horse anyway. I'm working on my horse. So I don't care where he goes. I just want him to give me that nose down there like that. Now, once I get him so that I can get that nose coming laterally, okay, he'll just give me his nose without resistance, follow my lead right around there. Then I got a little foundation to start off. Now, eventually, and this horse is beginning to want to get bridled up and everything. What we call bridling up is when a horse breaks at the pole and they learn how to break and give to that pressure and break at the pole and flex laterally and vertically at the same time. Okay? That's kind of a hard concept for people to understand.
The pole is right behind his ears,
well,
for people who don't know.
This is the throat latch right here. Turn sideways so people can see this. When you ask a horse to break at the pole, it's right here. You're going to ask them to do it.
They duck their chin.
They duck their chin, and they break over, and they put their chin right back. Their mouth and their nose follows your hands backwards, okay? All right, now, one side note, it goes with this, and this gets pretty complex. When you ride a horse with a snaffle, he wants to break right here in front of the withers. When you ride a horse with a hackamore, what I've got on this horse, he breaks right here, back here about, I don't know what number that vertebrae is, but it's right there. That's where he breaks. So if he breaks here, he will lower his head. If he breaks here, he doesn't lower his front end. Now, one of the things that, and I don't know where people learn this, everybody knows it. It's like something's bad, everybody gets it. You ever notice that? Okay. And that applies to horsemanship too. We have a horsemanship clinic every Tuesday night. Been having it for 3 years. Everybody that comes out there wants to put their hands down here like this. Okay? I don't know where they learn that, but they all know it. Okay? I'm telling you right here, that's absolutely wrong. They all want to do that. What you want to do is this. Get your hands out here in front of you. Get them up here. Get up here with your hands. That picks this horse up like this, as opposed to down on the forehead. Okay, once I get him so I can control this nose, and I get him pretty comfortable doing that, and you can teach him to do this standing still. You see Skipper do this all the time, on him and on the ground. Now I'm still getting just a little bit of resistance on the left because I got my reins in the way. Oh, I see what it is. But I just want him to follow my nose, follow my hand, follow my field around there. It's a field following a field. Okay? Once I get that, then I can start working on all the other aspects. But once I get him there, then I'm going to start going in circles. And then, I don't want him to lean on me. I'll bump him off if he leans on me. And then I can start asking him to do shoulders in. You notice what I got his head to the outside. And what I want him to do is to step across his left front leg with his right front leg, like that, okay? Now, he's doing it, he's not quite warm enough this morning, so he's doing it a little ratty, okay? But I want him to be able to do that both ways. Sometimes they take over and think they're going to drive the bus. There we go. So now, if you notice, I'm getting the shoulders so I can put the shoulders to the outside or to the inside. Outside, inside. There you go. Okay, now once I get that, and every day when I go ride them, I'm going to go through that. I don't start like today. If I make up my mind today's the day, I'm going to work on the back end. Okay? So the next thing I'm going to do is move his back end, but I'm going to run him through all of these first exercises from the front to the back. I'm going to go head, neck, front shoulders first. Get that all working for me. Then I'm going to start asking for his hip. And I do that by walking forward. I got this from Craig Johnson, who's been a friend of mine for a lifetime. I don't know if y'all know who he is or not, but he's a two-time NRHA maturity winner in the reining horse field, and a great horseman. And so I'll work on getting this horse, and I just lay my leg back there until I get him to step his hip away from my leg. There you go. I don't spur him. I don't cause any big ruckus. I just lay my leg back there and let him endure it until he figures out, oh, if I step over there, I get the pressure off, and then I take the pressure off. So,
we got any quick questions for him? Anybody? I want to really, thank you again. Like I say, I called him at the last. I know he's one of my go-to guys. I can just call him. Yeah, I got horses. I'll bring one. But how about a hand for Alan Parker?